Well, in Practice Pub, my name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Dave is still working from home. The car saga continues. They bought the engine that we paid for and delivered the wrong one. Don't get me started. They can't source another one. It'll take 4 months. So we're back to plan B with the old engine. And that's going to be at least another 2 weeks. Seriously. It's giant running joke at this point. So, he's still home. So, he's brewing a cup of coffee at the moment. So, what did I read this week? Well, last week, I had no DNFs. Yay! Of course, I also only read one book, but that is okay because that one book was fabulous. And it continues to utterly amaze me that not only is a sophomore book in the series good, I'm not at all frustrated with the tropes that, I should not be enjoying, because typically I don't enjoy them. So, what book? Unsurprisingly, it's Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. It's the second book in the Empyrean series, and purchased this one, and it is a whopping 623 pages of small, dense text. So, library book is always slightly bigger text, so it's probably going to be upwards of 700 pages by the time it gets to a library book publication. So, did I like it? I liked it more than the first, which surprised me. It really surprised me. This book released 6 months after the first. It's the sophomore book in a series. It is still, as Dave likes to call it, the Horny Dragon book. However, our main character, Violet, turns 21 in the book, so they are young, new adults, however you want to classify that. They are good 30 years younger than me, plus. And yet, I have to say, these characters are far more mature than some of the characters I have read or DNF'd in the last 6 months, which you do not expect when you read a book about a 21-year-old. And it's so incredibly refreshing. So the book opens up immediately where the first book ends. There's no time gap whatsoever. There's none. And I don't want to give anything away. If you're at all interested in the series, I don't want to give anything away. I will say that they do start year 2 of school, and it is just a roller coaster of emotions and trust issues, and how do you keep a secret from your friends and still remain friends, and what does that do to you? What does it do to them? And it was just it. These 21-year-olds are incredibly nuanced characters dealing with adult emotions and scenarios that it is impressive. Not only that they handle them, but they handle them in an incredibly mature, nuanced, well thought out manner. And it was so refreshing after so many poorly written characters in the last 4 to 6 months. These characters are not poorly written. The side characters are interesting. The main characters are very interesting. So let's talk about the spice level. There is swearing in the book. There's more swearing in this book than there is in the first book. And so there is a spice, but it's situationally appropriate. If you had put yourself in her shoes, their shoes, you would have done the exact same thing. It's situationally appropriate. Best way I can describe it, I recently checked out a book from the library, I don't know, a couple months ago to see if I wanted to read it. It was an Evie Dunsmore book. I opened up to a random page, and it was the male protagonist musing about the female protagonist, and next thing you know, she walks in the room and performs a sexual act for him, and it's just great. And it truly, it served no purpose. He was thinking about it. She suddenly appeared and did it. It was completely gratuitous. And reviews I have read of that series say that is just common. There is no what I would call gratuitous spice in this book. It is situationally appropriate. Do I read all the spice details? No, I really don't care. They're there. You can skip them and you really don't miss anything. You really don't. You do a little bit in the first one, but it's explained immediately after what you needed to know that you missed if you skip the spice scene. So it's not you're not losing out on something that's huge. And in this one, while there's more than in the first book, it isn't excessive, and it's all situationally appropriate for what they're going through and their reactions. And it isn't promiscuous in any sense. It is a couple. It's the same couple in the first book as it is in the second book, and there's no, extraneous goofing around. The world building is fantastic. The writing is well paced and well plotted, and there's tension and there's action and there's character development and growth. It's just a very well rounded world, and it is so just, it sucks you in. Admittedly, I took 3 days to read it this time, and that wasn't because it was slower paced or I wasn't completely immersed. I was trying to extend the length because I know there's at least probably another 6-month wait for the third book. And it does end on a cliffhanger, and you are trying to figure out what's going to happen next. And I don't have a clue because I would have missed a couple of things had I, tried to figure them out before I read this one. So I am not at all sorry I purchased it. It is a lovely, lovely read. Even with the spice, even with the swearing, the fantasy, the magic, the political intrigue, the romance, the character growth, it's all just there. It's just all there. I can easily, highly recommend this series. So in other book news this week, Um, as you all know, I absolutely love the getting out of the bookcase here. Recorder series by Cathy McCrumb. This is book 1 in the Children of the Consortium series. Book 2 is Aberration. It's sitting over there on my shelf. And I found out last week that I'm on the launch team for Guardian. Here's the cover. It releases in February of 2023 or 2024. And I am so excited. I am over the moon. I have a copy waiting for me on my Kindle. I am just, I had a cold over the weekend, so I didn't want to dive in because I know it's going to take my brain to concentrate and absorb everything. And so I will probably read it this week. No, I know I will read it this week. I loved the first 2 books in the series. I cannot wait for the series to conclude. And thank you, Cathy and Enclave Publishing, for putting me on the launch team. I am overjoyed with this book. This entire series is phenomenal. So that is my big book news for the week. And other news. Yeah, there's no other news. Other than that, it's been a very quiet week. It's gray and rainy here. It's cooled down. Leaves are starting to fall. They're all still green, so it's really just the ones that are dead and dying. But so, life is good. I hope you guys had a great reading week. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next week at the Protagonist Pub. Come on.